Gentle beats.
How you think you Aboriginal when you look just like an African? Call them out for the debate. Pick the video and then I laugh at them. Many niggas ain't even know shit. I can try to get this nigga to shut my screen. He wouldn't even show this shit. The nigga keep trying to play the straw man like they ain't noticing. But he out here blind as hell, he talking about his eyes open. He think he really doing something, whole time I ain't even going. I told him come on and show that screen, the apple you pump fake. Call him Jimmy, he don't even pop out, cheap holiday in. Act like he started something, but he can't even defend. Got the apples looking at you like shit, what you on? I ain't gon' let cuss while they lucky take the decoy moves. He say fuck the apple doctrine, man, he can't stand up. He say fuck that looker shit, my nigga, he said that. Hey, you better quit lying, no granny nigga shit can tell you that shit. How you got open smoke panel when you known for ducking phase? How you think you Aboriginal when you look just like an African? Call them out for a debate. Pick the video and then I laugh at them. Many niggas ain't even know. I tried to get this nigga to shut my screen, he wouldn't even show this shit. The nigga keep trying to play the straw man like they ain't noticing. But he out here blind as hell, he talking about his eyes open. He think he really doing something, whole time I ain't even going. I told him come on and show that screen, the apple you pump fake. I told him come on and show that screen, the apple you pump fake. How you got open smoke panel when you known for ducking phase?
Culture freedom. I just met these ladies out here in the park randomly. How many of y'all ever heard y'all had Indian in your family?
Absolutely.
Everybody heard that before, right? Who? Where did you hear it from? Who was the person that told you?
Our grandmother.
Once again, thank you very much, lady. I appreciate it.
All right.
Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. They know these apples think they ate, but they not. Every time I look around, they be on TikTok. Every time I look around, they saying something pseudo, knowing it's a lie, acting like it's really true though. Harriet Tubman's real, Nat Turner is a hero. I'ma keep it a buck. Dane Calloway's a weirdo. I'ma keep it a buck. Karimio is too. The research lie, he could never tell the truth. That coward A1, he's a miss no more. Just give me a shot, I can miss no more. Just give me the rock, it's a must. I score. These apples need to see a doctor, it's for sure. Hey, Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Hey yo, these apples think they real, but they fake. Always on YouTube, we could never get a break. All they do is cherry pick, die at their own sources. Pick the copper color, but not the hair of the horses. And DNA is not real, it's only for entertainment purposes. Can't believe how many times I heard this shit. Can't believe how many times I heard the same shit. Asking for the slave ships. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma said, how many times Grandma said we got Indian in us? It's a legend. It's a family legend. Grandma said we had Indian in us. Grandma ain't say we was Indian though. Stop taking Grandma out of context, man. Stop lying on Granny, man. Cause Grandma ain't say shit, man. You said it, man. You said it, man. Stop lying on Grandma. Grandma said.
So now, who am I?
So this is Paul Cuff, Paul Cuffey. He was born 1752, died 1812 in New York State. He's my seventh great grandfather on my father's side. He married a woman named Hannah. They had seven children, and I said from their son William. There's an article about him in 1909. It's talking about his genealogy, his family, how he became to be an Indian preacher. And this is out in this mark is out in Wading River, and in the Shinnecock Nation territory. So this was a book written in 1845, and they're talking about his genealogy. And here's a couple quotes from it. It says, "The Reverend Paul was the second of seven sons of Peter Cuffey, a native Indian of the Shinnecock tribe. His mother was said to be an eminent, pious woman, for many years a member of the native Indian church at Wading River, she being of African descent." So he was mixed. He was Shinnecock and African. And these are some of my DNA matches I was able to find and trace their genealogy back to me using uh, Paul Cuffey's son, William Cuffey, my fifth great grandfather. Um, and I was able to trace about six people. This is my fourth great grandfather on my father's side, Levi Medicine Man Phillips, born 1809, 1911, born in the state of Connecticut. Dr. Levi Phillips Sr., widely respected as an herbal doctor, Dr. Phillips regularly walked from Brooklyn to Montauk, even as an old man, and became a local legend. Shown here about 1870, he is believed to be a direct descendant of King Philip, chief of the Wampanoag Indians, between 1675 and 1676. King Philip led a coalition of local tribes against the English in an attempt to drive them out of England. This war was a pertinent of future conflicts in the western United States. And this comes from the Image of America, the Setauket, Oldfield, and Poquat, page 114. This is an article from the Brooklyn Daily Eagle in October 9th, 1909, page 19. This is about my great grandfather. Levi Medicine Man Phil's first wife's name was Maria Roscoe. They had 9 children, I descend from their son Levi. His first wife, Maria, a woman, so these are quotes from the article. His first wife, Maria Roscoe, a woman of part Shinnecock Indian and part Negro extraction. They make a distinction between Negro and Shinnecock Indian. They are describing two different people. So here I have 3 references to Negro. You got the etymology dictionary, a member of a black skinned race of Africa. Negroes, this is from etymology and English dictionary in 1730, inhabitants of Negrita in Africa. Then we have the Webster's Dictionary, 1828, a native or descendant of the black race of men in Africa. And this is some genealogy through my fourth great grandparents, Levi and Maria Phillips. And you see I have over here to the right, the blue DNA symbol means I connected them to my tree using DNA and records. So these two people down here, they took DNA tests. This is actually a daughter and father. And he was able to trace our DNA back to Levi and Maria Roscoe. This is William Nelson, 1830, Lumberg, Virginia. My fourth great grandfather on my father's side. I descend from his son Richard. The oldest record I have of him is from 1866, a list of registered colored persons cohabiting together as husband and wife, 1866, February 27, Prince Edward County. And I put this to the side, colored people, black people, Africans, or the descendants, mixed or unmixed. And that comes from the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. So according to the records, he was owned by a man named Henry Stokes. So if we look here, we register the colored persons of Prince Edward County, state of Virginia. Up here you see name, age, place, birth, occupation, last owner. You have name, age, he was 36. So in 1860, he would be 30. which means in 1830 he was born around 1830. Lumberg, Virginia, Prince Edward County, farmer, Henry Stokes, his last owner. So this is the 1860 slave schedule from Prince Edward County, Virginia. Henry Stokes had 53 enslaved black people as property at this time. In 1860, William Nelson would be about 30 years old. According to the census, Stokes owns 3 males at the age 30 at this time. And we can see the 3 males listed here, age 30. Henry Stokes received a presidential pardon from Andrew Jackson for taking part in the late rebellion against the government of the United States. The pardon is voided if Henry Stokes shall hereafter at any time acquire any property, whatever enslaves or make use of slave labor. So those are 2 things of quotes from the actual document. Now, somebody said Henry Stokes owned my fourth great grandfather, William Nelson. Well, he didn't take it just laying down. William Nelson was a Civil War vet. So William Nelson, U.S. Civil War Pension Index card filed September 30th, 1890. So he fought in the 25th U.S. Infantry Regiment. It was one of the racially segregated units of the United States Army known as the Buffalo Soldiers. Also the 39th U.S. Colored Infantry, a regiment that served in the Union Army during the American Civil War. And lastly, the 56th U.S. Colored Infantry that served in the Union Army. And we see William Nelson, his wife, children, and these is his service record. We got the 25th, 39th, and 56th regiments, all colored troops. Yeah, so no, we didn't just take it lightly. We freed ourselves. And these are living descendants of William Nelson found with DNA. And these are my cousins that I found. I did not know them, so I took this DNA test. And yeah, doing the genealogy records is good, but it's not going to take you to the present because we have a lot of laws that stop us from seeing things, and we don't get to see records that are 50. We don't even get to see records that are 50 years old, really, like when it pertains to censuses. You can only see them 75 years ago. Like right now, we're up to the 1950 census. But yeah, these are my living relatives. So William Bunn, 1906 to 1978, born in the state of New York. This is my second cousin, 3 times removed. We both descend from a man named Peter Bunn. Peter is my 4th great grandfather, but to William, it is his great grandfather. William was interviewed by the Brooklyn Daily Eagle in 1934. And this is the article right here. This is the Brooklyn Daily Eagle, May 1934, page 15. Key points, and he gives some oral history in this article. So some of the oldest families, so some of the key points I took from this article. Some of the oldest families in Brooklyn and on Long Island are Negroes. Money folk of Long Island made their living sending ships to ostensibly for the purpose of whaling. Actually, the vessels went over to Africa and picked up cargoes of Negroes. There was an unwritten law that if any Negro on a trip over gave birth to a child to children, the young ones could not be sold, but were taken back to Long Island. There were in time quite a few of these babies who grew up working about the homes of the ship captains. Mr. Bunn said, I think this story is true. I do know that my grandfather used to talk a lot about it. And here we see William Bunn. He's from East Setauket. Now, my Nigerian cousin, right? So we can see, this is me covering my face. This is my cousin. We share 9 centimorgans across one segment. He's 96% Nigerian and 4% East Nigerian, East Central. So he's 100% Nigerian, basically. So parts of the conversation with my Nigerian cousin, he says he has more matches to people in the Americas. So this is me reaching out to him. I asked him where he's from. He said, I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria and an Igbo by tribe. So nice to meet him. Does he have any other cousins? He says, yes, I have 148 matches here. And I asked him about the Americas. I was wondering if you have matched to other people in America. You see, yes, I have 149 matches here. This is my cousin, like I said, Ajiro. That's a Nigerian surname, 9 centimeters across one segment. So that all that means is that our we probably share the same common ancestor from somebody in the 1700s, because it's that many generations ago that's why our DNA share is so small. So 23andMe connected me to my Igbo tribe. This means some of your ancestors may have lived in it. So this is a quote. This is from this right here. So this means some of your ancestors may have lived in this area, and you may have relatives who still live there. Well, if we go back to my cousin here, they said I might find people from that area who's Igbo. And guess what? They was right. And a lot of people ask about the scientific details, and here they go right here on the Igbo connection. Highly likely match. And again, I have a cousin who is Igbo that I found through DNA. So, to the American Aboriginal community, where is the Aboriginal Americans in history? All we see is Africans and their descendants who became the Black Americans / African Americans. So if you like the information and would like to hear more, you can follow me at Not a Coincidence on YouTube and not_a_coincidence_808 on Instagram.
Break the lane, I'm trying to make a name, but my sick thoughts got me by my brain. I'm searching for my, how ironic how we hustle for the same, but get bracelets for trying to get a chain, man, they wanna take up.
Gentle beat.
How you think you Aboriginal when you look just like an African? Call them out for a debate. Big the video and then I laugh at them. Many niggas ain't even know shit. I can try to get this nigga shut my screen, he wasn't even show this shit. The nigga keep trying to play the straw man like I ain't noticing. But he out here blind as hell, he talking about his eyes open. He think he really doing some whole time I ain't even going. I told him come on and shoot that screen, the apple you pump fake. Call him Chippy, he don't even pop out, cheap holiday in. Act like he started something, but he can't even defend. Got the apples looking at you like shit, what you want? I ain't gon' let cuss while the nigga take the heat right. He say fuck the apple dodge him, man, he can't stand up. He say fuck that look of shit, my nigga, he said that. You better quit lying, no granny nigga shit, tell you that shit. How you got open smoke panel when you known for ducking phase? How you think you Aboriginal when you look just like an African? Call them out for a debate. Big the video and then I laugh at them. Many niggas ain't even know shit. I can try to get this nigga shut my screen, he wasn't even show this shit. The nigga keep trying to play the straw man like I ain't noticing. But he out here blind as hell, he talking about his eyes open. He think he really doing some whole time I ain't even going. I told him come on and shoot that screen, the apple you pump fake. I told him come on and shoot that screen, the apple you pump fake. How you got open smoke panel when you known for ducking phase?
You must try me.
There was a virus that made him smarter, and it almost killed all of us.
Culture freedom. Culture freedom. I just met these ladies out here in the park randomly. How many of y'all ever heard y'all had Indian in your family?
Absolutely.
Everybody heard that before, right? Where did you hear it from? Who was the person I told you?
Our grandmother.
Once again, thank you very much, lady. I appreciate it.
All right.
Grandma said I'm not an African. Grandma said I'm an Indian. Grandma Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Hey yo, these apples think they it, but they not. Every time I look around, they be on TikTok. Every time I look around, they saying something pseudo. Knowing it's a lie, acting like it's really true though. Harriet Tubman's real, that Turner is a hero. I'ma keep it a buck, Dan Calloway's a weirdo. I'ma keep it a buck, Karimio is too. The research lie, he could never tell the truth. That coward A1, he's a miss no more. Just give me a shot, I can miss no more. Just give me the rock, it's a must, I score. These apples need to see a doctor, it's for sure. And Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Hey yo, these apples think they real, but they fake. Always on YouTube, we could never get a break. All they do is die at their own sources. Take the copper color, but not the hair of the horses. And DNA is not real, it's only for entertainment purposes. Can't believe how many times I heard this shit. Can't believe how many times I heard the same shit. Asking for the slave ships. Grandma said, I'm not African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, how many times Grandma said, we got Indian in us? It's a legend. It's a family legend. Grandma said we had Indian in us. Grandma ain't say we was Indian though. Stop taking Grandma out of context, man. Stop lying on Granny, man. Cause Grandma ain't say shit, man. You said it, man. You said it, man. Stop lying on Grandma. Grandma said.
I'm a therapist who goes to therapy, and some people think that's strange. The thing is, though, therapists are human beings.
And thank you all so much for joining us here today. We actually are in the beautiful West African country of Senegal in the capital city of Dakar. We're joined here with my beautiful wife, Kimberly. And guess what? Get ready for this. Get ready for this. Her distant cousin, Musa. He's actually a native Senegalese with a long line of family members on both his mother's and father's side. So that means that my beautiful wife, Kimberly, has roots here in Senegal. I think that's a beautiful thing. And we're going to actually let Musa say a few words regarding his heritage.
Wax wolof.
ok waaw kontaan naa trop gis naa ko sama xol set na daal vraiment kontaan naa daal am naa mbégte kontaan naa. Okay.
Thank you so much, Musa. And again, as you all know, Musa does not speak English or French. He speaks his native tongue of Wolof. But we just wanted to show you this rare footage because this is a beautiful thing when an African American family member reunites. It's been 200 probably plus years with a native African that has never left these shores of the Atlantic Ocean. It's a beautiful thing. We hope this video has inspired everyone that's watching, and we hope that it gets out to many because it's really about motivating others to take those tests and to know that they can be encouraged in finding their native African cousins. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. All right. We want to thank everybody for tuning in that's watching. My name is Willie Wynn, and I'm here in the beautiful country of Uganda in East Africa. To be specific, we're in the town of Kawanda. Hey, this is a very special video that's dear to my heart because I have reunited with my native African cousins on my father's paternal side. My cousin here, Swabala, was given a test kit and her results came back as positive with the test kit that I purchased from my great aunt Ruth Wynn. who's now deceased. She passed away about a year and a half or so after I provided her with the test kit. So this video is dedicated to my great Aunt Ruth Wynn. But look, I want you all to meet my family. This ball of fresh air here, I mean, she is so amazing and so talented. Prosper, can you just introduce yourself to everybody that's watching?
Hello, my name is Prosper. I thank you to see us. Even I want to introduce my two sisters, even my cousin. Thank you.
And would you all like to just briefly introduce yourself to everybody that's watching?
Hello, I'm Swabla, and these are my siblings and my cousin Willie, and I'm really so grateful for that DNA testing, which has helped us to reunite.
Yeah, 5.5 generations away, by the way. But that's not that long ago now. 5.5 generations. We're happy. Cousin?
Hi, I'm Patience. I'm glad to see my distant cousin. Thanks.
And I'm happy to see you too. This is awesome. And I want everybody also to see my cousin Stefan. So can you all trade the camera? I want Stefan to come in before we cut this thing. All right, Stefan, if you can introduce yourself to everybody that's watching as well.
My name is Steven. I'm happy because we have been reunited with our cousin Willie because of the DNA test. Thank you.
So, we appreciate you all for tuning in, everybody that's watching. Again, we're here in the East African country of Uganda. This place used to be called the Kingdom of Bakondo, and the Europeans in 1894 named it Uganda. Is that the general history of it?
Yes.
All right. So we can look at Uganda as truly the Bakongo Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you all. Love you.
And cousin. Now, my Nigerian cousin, right? So we can see this is me cover my face. This is my cousin. We share 9 centimorgans across one segment. He's 96% Nigerian and 4% East Nigerian, East Central. So he's 100% Nigerian, basically. So parts of the conversation with my Nigerian cousin, he says he has more matches to people in the Americas. So this is me reaching out to him. I asked him where he's from. He said, I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria and an Igbo by tribe. So nice to meet him. Does he have any other cousins? He says, yes, I have 148 matches here. And I asked him about the Americas. I was wondering if you have matched to other people in America. You see, yes, I have 149 matches here. This is my cousin, like I said, Ajiro. That's a Nigerian surname, 9 centimeters across one segment. So that all that means is that we probably share the same common ancestor from somebody in the 1700s. Because it's that many generations ago that's why our DNA share is so small. So 23andMe connected me to my Igbo tribe. This means some of your ancestors may have lived in it. So this is a quote. This is from this right here. So this means some of your ancestors may have lived in this area and you may have relatives who still live there. Well, if we go back to my cousin here, they said, I might find people from that area who's Igbo. And guess what? They was right. And a lot of people ask about the scientific details. And here they go right here on the Igbo connection. Highly likely match. And again, I have a cousin who is Igbo that I found through DNA. So, to the American Aboriginal community, where is the Aboriginal Americans in history?
This is very specifically for men over 30 years old.
New to my channel, welcome. This is my very first video in English, and maybe we'll have more, I don't know, but I thought it was important to make a video in English for this, because this is actually about my African American relatives, distant, very distant relatives. So a while ago, I did a DNA test with an American company, and Actually, excuse me, let me give you a little summary of my background. I'm sorry, I did not, since you probably haven't watched my videos in French, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So I am from Gabon, which is a small country in Central Africa. It's actually on the western coast, but it's in the central area of Africa. So we say that it's part of the central region of Africa. I'm part of the Fang tribe, which is a tribe that exists in several countries: Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, and Congo. I think that's it. Yeah. There's about, I don't know, I think about 1 million of us. A while ago, like a couple of years ago, I was interested in knowing more about my, I guess my background. I mean, I kind of knew who I was, but I wanted to make sure because, you know, you never know, and, you know, there's always family secrets. So yeah, but I was pleasantly surprised because my DNA test came back and I'm 100% African. I'm 99% from the Congo Basin area. So this comprises Cameroon, Congo, and I guess Gabon and Equatorial Guinea. It basically, this is where the Fang people, you know, where they are today. So 99% I'm from there, and 1% I am a, oh, I forgot the term they use. Ancestral African, something like that. So I looked it up, and it's basically very ancient African. Sorry. So it's basically the Khoisans of South Africa, but also I had no idea. So they're related to pygmies. Pygmies are mostly in the central area of Africa. So I'm either 1% Khoisan or 1% pygmy. I don't know. But being 1% pygmy is actually very interesting because I'm a tall girl, like I'm 5'11". So the reason why I wanted to make this video was because I remember this story that my mom used to tell us. So apparently in my family, there's like a great, I don't know how many greats, how many generations, but a great, like an ancestor. Well, not an ancestor, but a brother of an ancestor. So it's a great uncle who just disappeared one day, just vanished from the village and was never seen again. And so everybody in the family kind of agreed. I mean, that's the story we heard. That's the story we hear today, that he was probably taken to be kidnapped, stolen, you know, to become a slave in the Americas, you know. And so we never heard from him again. But thanks to technology today, it's just amazing. So after, you know, when you get your test results, you get to see who and how many people you're related to, you know, in this country, in the United States. And I was very surprised to see that there's over 700 people I'm related to. Here are my DNA results. So I'm 99% from Cameroon, Congo, Southern Bantu peoples. This is probably, you know, the Fang tribe because, yeah, we're from, see, Gabon, Cameroon, Congo, the small Congo, Congo-Brazzaville, and this tiny country here is Equatorial Guinea. So here it is. Now let's go check out my matches. All right, so I'm gonna hide the names. And there you go. I have like hundreds and hundreds of people. It's crazy. It's crazy. So most of them are African American. Some of them are Latinos, and a few are even Asian and white. And I was very surprised. And when you look at their DNA profiles, you see that they have some African ancestry. I guess they just look white or Latino. I mean, because it's probably the majority of their genes, but they do have some African genes. It's just, wow. So we see a lot of people. I'm surprised. I'm like, wow. So this person, if indeed it's him, if this person was taken from my family, had a lot of descendants. And who knows, maybe there was more than one person who was taken. I don't know. Anyway, this is the one story I know. So I thought I'd share it with you. So here goes. A lot of people. Wow. And it's like between 5th and 8th, I think, cousin, something like that. And so I guess it's between, well, it's a lot of generations, you know. So it's like at least we must have shared a great grandparents, something like that. And it's just amazing, you know. And so I try to calculate what it meant, and it probably means that this great 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 uncle was taken probably in the first third of the 19th century, something like that. So yeah, I thought it was interesting to just talk about this and to talk about how, as an African, I was aware of slavery. Of course, we all are. You know, we have all read about it. We've all watched movies about it. As an African, I was aware of slavery. Of course, we all are. You know, we have all read about it. We've all watched movies about it. But it just feels so distant, you know. And of course, I have a lot of compassion for the people who were taken, the people who now descend from those people who were taken. Like, we come from the same people, we don't really know each other, you know, and it's just so sad. It's just so sad. But now, having taken this test and having seen that I'm related to all those people, it's just very, wow. It's an eye opener. I mean, I'm shocked. Well, not really shocked. I mean, it's not really that surprising, but it's just, it's sad. I'm sad. I'm sad for him. I'm sad for the great 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 uncle who was kidnapped and who never saw his family again. I don't even know what to say. I mean, yeah. I'm sad that I'm really sad that this happened, and I don't know. I guess my story is just about how, you know, we may think we're all different, you know, because, you know, we come from different places, but really we all know we have common ancestors. And so maybe we should just try to work on our differences and just try to, you know, get acquainted more, you know, get to know each other more, because we all are from the same family. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Mic check, mic check. How I sound? Peace to everybody in the building. Peace, peace. Mic check, mic check. How I sound, y'all? Am I good? Somebody tell me something. All right, thank you. Good looking, Ava. All right, so we here. You see the question of the day. Is Albert Perry A00 lineage from America? So, you know, this is one of Abo's talking points, right? That, I mean, it's clear in all the reading that you do about Albert Perry. Oh, smoke singer, you a clown. All the reading you do about, oh, my bad. Hold on, let me stop. Once again, Tunde, shout out for the super chat. Definitely appreciate you. You definitely support. Appreciate that. Shout out to Q Black for the super chat. He said these albums have nothing like this to prove their claims. No, they don't. They have nothing that backs anything. It's just you know, at least the Christians, they got a Bible. The albums don't have that. They just got a bunch of YouTube videos with no sources. Right? But shout out to everybody. Peace to the chat. Share, like the video. Send this to your favorite Abo. But let's get to it. We're talking about Albert Perry. And the Abos, they like to say that Albert Perry's lineage is from America because he happened to live in South Carolina. Well, they say he was born in America also. But that's not true at all. So we're going to attack some of their talking points and just go over some stuff. Some stuff you probably seen. I got something I think a lot of people might not have seen. I know the Abos haven't seen, but let's get into it. So
in a particular location, like A00, for instance, they have not found any form of A00 in Africa amongst the bones, amongst the people, in archaeology, nothing. They haven't found A00 in Africa, but they have labeled A00 to come out of Africa. So when they find the genetic haplogroups that are closest to A00 outside of Africa, they say they still are out of Africa because we say it's out of Africa. So that's where the problem really lies when you're basing it based on haplogroups that they're giving, maps that they're giving, when they're not actually giving accurate depictions of the migration patterns. And really, we can't even dive into having accurate depiction of the migration patterns until we utilize DNA in the way that it's meant to, meaning as a genealogy test.
So I wanted to let her get it all out. You hear her say that they haven't got it from any bones and things like that. Let's say it again.
They have not found any form of A00 in Africa amongst the bones, amongst the people. A00 in Africa amongst the bones, amongst the.
He said amongst the bones, amongst the people. So we understand that Naya, she likes to freestyle, right? She likes to repeat things that she hears from other people, but they really just don't know. So this is a paper, you can get it. I put the link in the description, right? Ancient West African Forages in Context of African Population History. All right, this came out in 2020. I said the link is in the description. Let's just go down to the abstract real quick. She said, hasn't been found in the bones. It said, we generated genome-wide DNA data from 4 children buried roughly 8,000 and 3,000 years ago. Here you go, hardline boss. At Shumlanka, Cameroon, one of the earliest archaeological sites within the probable homeland of the Bantu languages. One individual carried a deeply divergent Y chromosome haplogroup A00, which is found today almost exclusively in the same region. However, all 4 individuals' genome-wide ancestry profiles are most similar to West Central African hunter-gatherers, implying that the present-day population in Western Cameroon, as well as Bantu speakers across the continent, are not descended substantially from the population represented by these 4 people. We infer an African-wide phylogeny that features widespread admixture and 3 prominent radiations, including one giving rise to at least 4 major lineages deep in the history of modern humans. So again, they found 8,000 and 3,000 year old bodies of 4 children, and one of the children was carrying the A00. So we heard her say that they haven't found it in the bones. So we have scientific papers
Found
saying
any
otherwise.
form of A00 in Africa amongst the bones, amongst any form of A00 in Africa amongst the bones.
So we see right away that she doesn't know what she's talking about. So let's go to the next one. I ain't gonna hold y'all long. We're gonna do this quick, get in and out. All right, so the next point we got Ali, right? And he acts like he's the Albert Perry specialist. Hardline boss, chill out. You're gonna see a lot more. This is just the beginning. Trust me, this is just the beginning. Right? I just gotta show some examples of the claims, and you can get right to it. Oh shit, my bad. Give me 1 second, y'all. 1 second, 1 second. Not yet. Hold on. All right, let's go to. I can't do both at the same time. Let's go back to Ali Muhammad. So let's just listen to his claim for a minute.
So anyway, let's share the screen. You asked to see the family line in the United States of America that has the oldest DNA. Now, this is Albert Perry, right? Where was he born? In Florida. And he was born in Florida in 1816. But the problem with that is Florida was Indian country at the time. And so this is his name. I'm pretty sure you know, you're familiar with Albert Perry. If you're not, you need to go look it up. This is a part of his family line and one of his grandsons. So let's go and we can find that these people. All right. John Clyde. This is him on the census. Albert Perry right here. All right. 1880 census. He was never listed as a slave, like Jabari tried to say. Let's get it up close.
So they love saying that, right? So slavery is ended at 1880. You don't see Albert Perry pop up on any records until 1870, which is going to only mean one thing. He was enslaved in America. That's why they have no records of him. But guess what? We can't talk to Albert Perry. So, but we do know what his family say, and I'm going to show you what his family says about that in a little bit. But these guys, they keep trying to just hijack the history, making up their own things, come up with their own conclusions, especially this guy, Ali. He's one of the best at it. And he doesn't have anything to support it. He's showing an 1880 census saying, or 1870 census say, look, he wasn't a slave. Well, slavery was over at that time, buddy. Nice try.
Albert Perry and his family. You see Clyde right there, C-L-Y-D-E. Clyde was just right here. That's Clyde Perry, right? They all were from Florida and South Carolina. Now let's do a cross.
Now he just showed Clyde Perry. So how the story of Albert Perry is, the descendants of Albert Perry through Clyde Perry did a DNA test. His family was a member of his family who was in the genealogy, and she's the one that put everything together. But again, he's going to show this graph. Let's just hear what he says about this.
Cross comparison between the S&Ps for Perry's family and the Africans. Here it is right in your face, bro. They don't have the same haplogroup, bro. Go find.
So again, that's not true. Let's go to the paper he got that screenshot from, right? So also the link for this paper is in the description. This paper, now mind you, the screenshot he got that from is from this paper that's titled Rare African Y-DNA Haplogroup A00 Sprouts New Branches. This is where he got this screenshot from. It comes from that paper. So already, you're doing bad, Ali. I showed this the other night, but we was going over some other stuff. I wanted to focus on Albert Perry tonight. So this is the screenshot. This is the screenshot from the paper that's titled African Haplogroup, right? And it's not saying anything that he's saying. It's actually showing the descendancy, how these things all line up, right? Now, this is something he didn't want to show you, how they actually have it lined up. They have Albert Perry here. Well, Albert Perry's grandson, the one that took the test, because Albert Perry never took the test. Two of his, one of his great-grandson and a great-great-grandson and a great-great-great-grandson took the test. And you see how we get A00 here, and it comes off. Mind you, have somebody who they found was older. That the ancient individual from Sri Lanka, that's one of those 8,000 or 3,000-year-old bodies. They tested for A00 that was older than Albert Perry. So this is how it comes off. It comes off a Y haplogroup, the hypothetical Y atom. You got the AL 1090 that splits. That becomes a Khoisan, and the rest of the people that leave Africa and go and populate the world. Then you have that ancient individual from the paper I showed you earlier with the A00 group. This is where they come off the A00. So this one's a little bit older. And then off of this, you have the Cameroon, who has an older mutation. Another man from Cameroon has an older mutation. Then you have the great grandsons of Albert Perry. But he didn't want to show you that. Oh, shit, I'm not even showing. So, yeah, as you can see, my bad, I wasn't showing it. As you can see, the grandsons of Albert Perry, they come off that Cameroon line. There's no denying. But when you get somebody like Ali who just shows you screenshots from papers, right? This is the screenshot, and they're telling you that we can just read what it says because so few men have tested and fallen into the line of this line, the dark blue equivalent SNPs reach far back in time. As more men test, this will eventually be broken into individual branches. The men who carry these important SNPs or SNPs and their branching information will either be men from Africa or the diaspora. I would like to thank the Perry family for continuing the contributions to science. So speaking of that, let's go to the Albert Perry family. All right. This is from, let me say, fair use. Right. This is for entertainment purposes only, teaching purposes only. Sorry. All right. Fair use. Let me get my fair use banner. Right. We over here combating disinformation. So let's go to the Albert Perry family.
The story has just gotten more intriguing thanks to amateur genealogist Jacqueline Johnson.
So this is Jacqueline Johnson. This is the geneticist, the family geneticist of that Albert Perry line, and the reason we even know about Albert Perry today. You never hear the Abels talk about it because they don't know about it. Right? This is an old documentary. I forget what year it came out, but I had seen this a while ago, and I've been trying to figure out a way to get it to you because you can't. It's on PBS on Prime, so you can't screen share. It'll just go black. Right? So I was finally able to screen record it. I wanted to share it with y'all. So this is Jacqueline Johnson, Albert Perry's descendant. Let's hear what the family says.
She's fascinated by her great-great-grandfather, Albert Perry, who appears on the 1870 census as a freed slave in South Carolina.
He's 43 listed on here, so that means he was born about 1827. And there's my great-grandfather, Clyde, at the age of 3, a toddler. This is the first major census that slaves were included on, with the last names. Prior.
So she has no problem calling him an ex-slave. So why are people lying about this? This is the family genealogist. Y'all don't know nothing about his family.
That it was mostly recognized as somebody's property.
Johnson has been able to trace her roots back 5 generations, but she can't find any records before 1870.
This is our family tree. This is myself, my mother, my grandmother, and this is.
So you see, she's done the genealogy. We're not gonna play around, right? Just like y'all be out here fronting like y'all, even though we prove y'all time and time again, y'all don't do genealogy. She's done it. Stop crying about it.
My great-great-grandfather, Albert Perry. It's frustrating that you can't go back any further than him because, people just didn't pop up and start existing in 1870. They were alive before.
You hear that? So, Abo, all them deadlines y'all have that stop at 1870. Let's stop playing like you can't imply that those persons or those people that you can't find out about, because I know you got a lot of them. Because you only talk about that one line that leads to a white man in the 1500s. Those people were enslaved. That's why you can't find them before that. It's called the brick wall for a reason.
And so where were they? They were somewhere. You know, I want to give a voice to this story. I want to find out, who is Albert Perry?
I've enlisted the help of 3 scientists who use genetic ancestry tracing in their research.
In 2006, I was watching a PBS special called African American Lives, and they were presenting DNA.
We submitted second DNA samples. These samples can then be compared to DNA samples taken from around the world.
They were showing people, okay, you were connected to this group of people in Liberia and this group of people in Nigeria. And I was like, oh, that's a way I can do it. I can actually test my own DNA and find out where we connect in Africa.
So Jacqueline Johnson, Albert Perry's great-great-great-granddaughter, she's doing all this, right? So y'all gonna tell her she's wrong, right? All the work she put into her genealogy, and when she couldn't go any further, she turned to DNA, and this is what we get: a groundbreaking history, right? Straight out of Africa. So we don't even have to play these games no more, right? Stop saying it unless you got proof. We don't want to deal with y'all feelings unless you got proof. Stop saying that Albert Perry wasn't enslaved. Stop saying that he wasn't from Africa.
To track Albert Perry's lineage, she persuaded a male cousin to provide a sample of his Y chromosome. It was tested here at Family Tree DNA. Bennett Greenspan runs the company.
When I came into work the morning that the sample had been scored the night before, the technicians were actually very excited because they said, we've seen something and we've never seen anything.
So now we know who actually sequenced the DNA. This is the lab at Family Tree. You see the guy that's head of it. We don't have to play all these mysterious conspiracy games. These guys have no reason to do this. To act like it has to be from Africa. It would if they found it was from America, it would make them even more famous. I don't think y'all understand the type of shit that y'all are trying to debunk. Right? Scientists want to find things like that. It's just not true.
Thing like this before. Typically, you might find 1 or 2 or 3 novel mutations, but in this sample, we found between 40 and 50 novel mutations.
40 to 50 novel mutations. So those are new mutations they've never seen before. They never seen before.
Which means it defines an entirely new subsection of the tree of mankind.
The Y chromosome from Jacqueline Johnson's cousin was so unusual, it was given its own name, A00. Geneticists checked thousands of other samples in their data sets, but found no one else with the same signal. Until they looked in Western Africa.
So you heard what he said. Geneticists, they looked all through their data set. So if they don't have the DNA in their database, then they can only compare to what they're comparing it to. But they turn to Africa.
The trail leads 7,000 miles from Houston to Mbeta village in western Cameroon. In 2001, there was a program to sample DNA here. When the samples were reviewed in 2000.
So y'all heard it. in 2001, they did some DNA sampling here in 2001.
When the samples were reviewed in 2012,
they was not reviewed for 11 years. So they keep saying, oh, they didn't, why did they just all magically find it, or how, they didn't have the DNA before they found it with Albert Perry? No, they did. They collected the DNA. They've been to Cameroon. They collected it in 2001, 23 years ago. Facts, Ava. But the research and the money probably isn't there, and that's not a priority. They collected it, they got it until somebody else picks up the research, or the research gets funded more, and things like that. I actually found one of the donation pages for the guy that's about to show that that is doing the research. He's from Cameroon.
11 of the men were a match for A00.
11 of the men. So far we got 3,000, between 3,000 and 8,000 children who have A00 in Cameroon. Then they go to this village. They had samples from 2011. From 2001, excuse me, that when they ended up testing them in 2012, they found the A00 thing in there. So what do? They go back.
11 of the men were a match for A00. No one knows who they are because the tests were anonymous. But they're the only other people in the world known to have the same Y chromosome as Jacqueline Johnson's great-great-grandfather, Albert Perry. He must have lived as Jacqueline Johnson's great-great-are because the tests were anonymous. But they're 0. No one knows who they are because the tests were anonymous. But they're the only other people in the world known to have the same Y chromosome as Jacqueline Johnson's great-great-grandfather, Albert Perry.
So out of all the millions and millions of DNA tests, they're the only ones in the world to come up with it. Black Americans take them all the time, other people all around the world, and they only found it here.
He must have lived in Mbeta before being transported as a slave to the United States, carrying with him the A00Y chromosome. What's so remarkable about this chromosome is its age. By counting the number of mutations, it's been dated at 338,000 years old, which means it entered the modern human gene pool before modern humans were even thought to exist.
This sample was kind of history shattering. It was older than anything that science had ever seen in a male inherited Y chromosome.
For people who got hearing comprehensions, they took the samples in 2001. It wasn't sequenced, or they wasn't sequenced till 2012. That's why. So again, they found this ancient haplogroup. They start doing more studies. They find it in Cameroon in ancient individuals. They find it in living individuals, but not in the people who are denying it's from Africa. Those people, they're not finding A00. None of the abos is coming up with A00.
And that's what made this discovery so interesting, because this made mankind actually much older than what the scientists had been theorizing for years.
Until recently, the timeline of our species seemed clear. Every man on Earth could trace his ancestry back to genetic Adam. Every woman back to genetic Eve. The earliest fossil evidence goes back 195,000 years to Homo 1. $300,000 years ago lived a forerunner of our species in Jebel Irhoud. But this Y chromosome was older than all of them. A piece of modern human DNA that was 338,000 years old. Potentially a new start date for our species.
When the results came, I was excited. Now his name is in the book. Can you imagine?
His family is happy with the result. You heard her, she's excited. Now her ancestor is in the books. Right? Made him famous. She's excited about it.
When the results came, I was excited. Now his name is in the book. Can you imagine, from a slave, unknown, kind of like somebody's property, and all of a sudden it's known around the world.
You hear the pride. Abo, stop trying to just make up your own history, man. So let's not do that.
To understand more about the A00Y chromosome, geneticists need more samples. Matthew Famina Forca is the local researcher who did the initial sampling in Mbeta village.
He took the initial samples in 2001. Now he's going back.
I've come here because this is the Combo community where I collected DNA samples 12 years ago. The sample were analyzed and realized that this population has the 11 samples who belong to the A00, implying that those A00 which were found here have contributed to the beginning of humanity.
So you hear what he said. The scientists from Cameroon said these people here have contributed to the beginning of humanity. Coming out of where? Cameroon.
Those A00 which were found here have contributed to the beginning of humanity.
So we can stop saying, oh, white people say it. Nah, the Africans say it too. Y'all say the Africans don't say this. The Africans say that.
Today, we are continuing the DNA collection that has started in 2001. I am going to swab their mouth with a sterile cotton.
Unfortunately, the climate of Cameroon is too wet to preserve ancient human fossils. So DNA is the only way to find out if our species really did emerge here. But there is another possibility, another reason for the age of the A00Y chromosome.
Now, Abos, pay attention now. You might not like this. You might not like this part, but you want to claim the A00, you can't claim half the science. You gotta claim it all.
Perhaps we inherited it from a different species of human. Although we are now the only humans on the planet, it was not always this way. For tens of thousands of years, the forests of Africa would have been shared between modern humans and archaic humans. It's been assumed there was little, if any, contact between them. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if DNA passed from one species of human to another?
There may have been archaic forms of humans that lived in Western Africa that happened upon modern populations, and this Y chromosome was introduced into the modern population through interbreeding.
Although modern humans were a distinct species, they seem to have mated with other, older species of human and picked up parts of their DNA.
That would help to explain why we found a 338,000-year-old Y chromosome in a very small pocket of humanity in Western Cameroon. For the last 100 years or so, it's been very convenient to think that humans originated in a very simple way in a Garden of Eden. But now we know from the DNA itself that matings between different forms, archaic forms, modern forms, going on, who knows how long that's going back in time, which in fact makes us a lot more like the rest of nature.
Something similar.
So we see what the science says, right? So when we hear them make claims like this,
A00, for instance, they have not found any form of A00 in Africa amongst the bones, amongst the people, in archaeology, nothing. They have.
we know she's just making that up. She's flat out making it up, right? And then when Ali comes on and says that it has nothing to do with Africa and he wasn't a slave, we know he's making that up. It's just that simple.
He was never listed as a slave, like Jabari tried to say.
No, Jabari doesn't say it. His great great granddaughter says it. His family genealogist says it. Jacqueline Johnson says it. He has a name. Jabari doesn't say it. He doesn't. We got that from his family. So we know they're lying. Remember what they always like. I always love to say, family knows best, right? Family knows. So what's wrong with Albert Perry's family? What's wrong with Jacqueline Johnson? She did the work. She put the work in.
Let's get it up close. Albert Perry and his family. You see Clyde right there, Clyde. Clyde was just right here. That's Clyde Perry, right? They all were from Florida and South Carolina. Now let's do a cross comparison between the S&Ps for Perry's family.
And this goes right with that sleight of hand scholarship. He shows y'all this graph, and I already showed you where the article it comes from. This thing comes from Africa. That's all they're talking about in this whole article. They even have this graph right here for you, which shows you the testing that they did in Cameroon, right? The ancient individuals that they found. And then you see Albert Perry's grandsons down here coming off of these lines. Right? There's gonna be mutations. This thing is 300-something thousand years old, right? But it's just about understanding the science and understanding that Ali tried to trick y'all by showing this. This is the same chart. Like, it's just that simple. line. It comes from an archaic human. Modern humans wasn't just modern humans around at that time. Right. But Abels ain't gonna respond to this. They're not gonna have any evidence to produce anything. Like I said, I brought you his family, right? His family genealogist said he's enslaved. So who are y'all to say he's not? Abel stopped saying he wasn't, right? That's a dark part of our history where we take the good with the bad. We're proud. We're proud people, right? We take the good with the bad. You understand with slavery it comes that fight. And we fought to get out of it. I did presentations on how we freed ourselves. Right? You can go check out that. We freed ourselves. So this ain't no pity party, but when it comes to this DNA, when it comes to science, we know where Albert Perry fits. There's no conspiracy to try to steal it from America. A scientist would love to come along and have proof. You know what I'm saying? He made a discovery. So let me see. What, nobody want to pull up? That's how y'all doing? That's how y'all doing tonight? Let me take a little intermission. Take a little intermission. Y'all don't want to pull up on me. That's all right. We can make this nice and short. I'll be right back.
Freedom, culture freedom. I just met these ladies out here.
Fix this. My bad, y'all. My bad.
In the park randomly. How many of y'all ever heard y'all had Indian in your family?
Absolutely.
Everybody heard that before, right? Who? Where did you hear it from? Who was the person I told you?
Our grandmother.
Once again, thank you very much, lady. I appreciate it.
All right.
Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Hey, yo, these apples think they it, but they not. Every time I look around, they be on TikTok. Every time I look around, they saying something pseudo. Knowing it's a lie, acting like it's really true though. Harriet Tubman's real, that Turner is a hero. I'ma keep it a buck. Dan Calloway's a weirdo. I'ma keep it a buck. Caremio is true. The research lie, he could never tell the truth. That coward A1, he's a miss no more. Just give me a shot, I can miss no more. Just give me the rock, it's a must. I score. These apples need to see a doctor, it's for sure. And Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian.
Okay, King Kapala, what's good, bro? What's going on with you?
Man, peace out, move. What's happening, man? What's going on, man?
Peace, bro. Same old shit, Just got to beat up this Abo misinformation. You know how it go.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just hold them up against the wall. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put the brass knuckles on and gut them out at the ribs, man.
Bro, they done, man. They can't claim Albert Perry no more. That's just it.
Nah, they tripping with the Albert Perry joint. Yeah, they didn't even read the whole thing, didn't understand it. It was a goopy in the chat asked me to look it up to find something that was before this one to find some DNA, something before Albert Perry. Man, when you read when you look it up, you read all that stuff. It was so many of them I could have pulled just the link from. I only picked one. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the best one, but it still smashed the crap that this dude talked and the rest of them clowns was talking about still. It's like, why y'all didn't even read all this stuff? Y'all saying this shit and didn't even read none of the shit, none of the source. You know what I'm
Nah,
saying? Just straight say a whole bunch of crazy stuff without reading it. And
they listen to people like Ali and Top Cats, and whatever they say, they just repeat it. And
that's
word.
crazy.
That's all they do.
Yeah, that was all I wanted to come
Yeah,
up
yo,
here.
salute Public Enemy. Appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. But yeah, these apples, man, they're crazy.
Yeah,
What you say? Go ahead.
You gonna do a short joint or what?
Yeah. I ain't gonna be in too long, man. I just have to
I'm drop back down. Yeah, but peace though. Yeah, man. Yeah. Keep this rocking for a little bit though. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Before you leave, hold on. Don't leave yet. I want you to hear this clip from Ali. I think this is the right one.
All right.
Let's see. Oh shit, that shit ain't available. And they got me. Oh, I can't even play the clip. I never took that video down or something. But it was Ali was asked about his DNA test one time. He said that basically it was mixed and some shit. But now he just be fun. But I can't play the video, so it don't even matter, man. But yeah, I'm gonna keep this short just so these people could watch that little Albert Perry presentation. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully this shit can get circulated by y'all sharing it and liking the video. Leave a comment also. Yeah, let's get this out of here, man. You wanna King Kapala, you wanna say something before we get up out of here?
Nah. I come back up here next time and really pop when you got some of you got time. So right now, I just want everybody to stay cool, calm, collected, stay black. You know what I'm saying? Stay on their necks. You dig?
Yeah, that's a fact, man. We ain't gonna let them go, man. They got more free time than us. You know what I'm saying? Like we be doing shit. They can go live 24 hours a day. I don't know how. Shit, I got shit to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I get on here when I get a little free time. Well, we gonna make this shit happen. But peace though, peace everybody out there. Lucky about to take us out. If I'm gonna play both of them. But yeah, Albert Perry, he's from Cameroon. That should be done with. Apples never rebuttal nothing. They just act like they ain't seeing when we know you seen it. We know you seen it. I be getting, 1,000. I get a decent amount of views, and it be Apples watching. Word. But all right, y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all next time. I'm gonna play these 2 songs. We out of here, man. Peace.
Gentle beats. How you think you Aboriginal when you look just like an African? Call them out for a debate. The video that I left, many niggas ain't even know shit. I can tell you this nigga shut my screen, he wasn't even show this shit. The nigga keep trying to play the straw man like I ain't noticed. But he out here blind as hell, he talking about his eyes open. He think he really doing some whole time I ain't even going. I told him come on and show that screen, the apple you pump fake. Call him Chicky, he don't even pop out, Chief Holiday in. Acting like he started something, but he can't even defend. Now the apple's looking at you like shit, what you on? I ain't gon' let it cost money like he take the decoy phones. He say fuck the apple doctor, man, I can't stand up. He say fuck that look of shit, my nigga, he said that. Hey, you better quit lying, no granny nigga, she can tell you that shit. How you got open smoke panel when you known for ducking phase? How you think you Aboriginal when you look just like an African? Call them out for a debate. Big the video and then I laugh at them, many niggas ain't even know shit.
I kept trying to get this nigga to share my screen, he wasn't even show this shit. And they keep trying to play the straw man like I ain't noticed. But he out here blind as hell, he talking about his eyes. I'm trying to think he really doing some whole time I ain't even going. I told him come on and share that screen, the Apple, you pump
Culture Freedom. Culture Freedom. I just met these ladies out here in the park randomly. How many of y'all ever heard y'all had Indian in your family?
Absolutely.
Everybody heard that before, right? Where did you hear it from? Who was the person I told you?
Our grandmother.
Once again, thank you very much, lady. I appreciate it.
All right.
Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Hey, yo, these apples think they it, but they not. Every time I look around, they be on TikTok. Every time I look around, they saying something pseudo. Knowing it's a lie, acting like it's really true though. Harriet Tubman's real, that Turner is a hero. I'ma keep it a buck, Dane Calloway's a weirdo. I'ma keep it a buck, Carimio is true. The research lie, he could never tell the truth. That coward A1, he's a miss no more. Just give me a shot, I can miss no more. Just give me the rock, it's a must I score. These apples need to see a doctor, it's for sure. And Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Hey, yo, these apples think they real, but they fake. Always on YouTube, we could never get a break. All we do is cherry pick, kayak your own sources. Take the copper color, but not the hair of the horses. And DNA is not real, it's only for entertainment purposes. Can't believe how many times I heard this shit. Can't believe how many times I heard the same shit. Asking for the slave ships. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, I'm not an African. Grandma said, I'm an Indian. Grandma said, how many times Grandma said, we got Indian in us? It's a legend. It's a family legend. Grandma said we had Indian in us. Grandma ain't say we was Indian though. Stop taking grandma out of context, man. Stop lying on granny, man. Cause grandma ain't say shit, man. You said it, man. You said it, man. Stop lying on grandma. Grandma said.
What's good, y'all? How everybody feeling tonight, man? Like the video, share the video out. Black Panther, you not neither. We all got here around the same time. Y'all can hear me. That's good. So what's good, y'all, man? Happy Black History Month. I see a lot of people talking about a lot of things that don't got nothing to do with history, or at least our history. They making everything that ain't us. Word, salute to the chats. Big up Virginia. Old dog. Ibolic. EIE. Black Panther. Peace, 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 peace. Everybody in the chat. Sean P. Root word. Peace, 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 everybody. I don't know how to say your name. Tundi. Olagoon. Peace, peace, peace. Yo, share the video. Like the video, y'all. But yeah, a lot of people talking about everything that don't got nothing to do with us. They making us Romans. They making us Greeks. They doing everything else, but what that got to do with us. So let's just get into it, right? So historically, who do so-called Negro, Black, colored Americans say who we are? What do we have to say about it? A lot of people like to talk around us, but they don't want to go to what we say. I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? I don't. Why not go to the people, right? If you want to find out who somebody is and all that, let's go right to the people, right? We got an excerpt of the letter from from Nzinga and Bimba to the Portuguese King Jao. To the Portuguese King Jao III. My bad, y'all. I can't talk right now. 1526. In 1526, the king of Congo, Nzinga, who by this time had adopted the Christian name Afonso, began writing a series of 24 letters to the Portuguese King Jao, appealing for an end to the slave trade. This is 1526, y'all. So a lot of times, the people who go against this history that we say is ours, right? This is what they say. Oh, you don't hear Africans talking about it. What is the Africans talking about it in 1526? Black Panther, Jackie Brown, Martin Luther King can't prove slavery. Just tell what he been taught. No, but when we compile all the evidence, when we go through history, and everybody was talking about it every time period, like we see here in the 1500s, we see Nzinga and Boomba talking about it. He's in the Congo, right? So this is from one of his letters. Quote, freed and exempt men, and very often it happens that they kidnap even noblemen and the sons of noblemen and our relatives and take them to be sold to the white men. So you're right. MLK can't just tell a story, but we have a whole bunch of people that tell a story for us. What else did he say? And as soon as they are taken by the white men, they are immediately ironed and branded with fire. And when they are carried to be embarked, right? So we hear about them being branded and things like this, but he's complaining about this in 1526. Now, yeah, he participated in the slave trade, but we have this idea that Africans, well, I ain't gonna say we, but a lot of people have this idea that Africans looked at themselves as one person, as one people, and they didn't. Melody Goddess, peace, peace, sis. And they didn't, they just didn't. So we played a part in it. Hey, that's the history, good, bad, the ugly. Right? This is in 1594, October 9th, 1594. This is from firstblacks.org, manuscript number 40, right? A black man sold as a slave by French smugglers on La Española northern coast claimed a right to freedom based on his African original social status of nobility. He's talking about, hey, I'm a son of a king. I ain't supposed to be doing this shit. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I ain't supposed to be a slave. You know who my daddy is? That's what he's saying. So, like again, we dealing with the primaries. Something a lot of people don't. Y'all got the laser now. Y'all in trouble. A peace, everybody coming in. Share, like the video on your way in, man. Share this out to somebody that might want to hear it. Right? So this is what? 1594. So he's testifying in court. Right? This is the manuscript number 40. I cut this part out. This is the Spanish. I ain't gonna try to say it, but this is what he's they're calling him a Guinea Ladino. They tell you right here he's the Christianized African, right? So what does this say? And after, can I read it from here? Yeah. And after what was said on the 9th day of the said month of October, and in the said year, for the said inquiry before the said honorable judge, oath was taken lawfully and received from Sebastian, Creole, originally from Guinea, Ladino, and he is said to be Christian. So if you know the rules back then, Sometimes you can get away with being a Christian and get out of slavery because you was a Christian, right? This is in the 1500s. So this is his oath. This is what he says. He said, "Who today, the said day, came to the house of the said honorable judge to request justice for himself, for he is free and has been brought by the French of the Northern Strip, and after taking oath and being asked about the reason for the complaint and beginning of this business, said that this witness is Creole from Vaganda, which is in Guinea, and that he is the son of a king." He said, "I'm a son of a king. I ain't supposed to be doing this. This ain't right. Get me out of here. Son of a king of such people. And when the witness was coming from the said town by sea to Sierra Leone on a vessel of Gaspar de Agua, which may have been more or less a year ago, the witness was the page boy of the said captain, since he was being paid for it, and while sailing, they were encountered by a French Captain Bevel. And this is when he was stolen and brought to America and put into slavery." Now, I wish I could find out what happened to him. Did he ever get free or whatever? I don't know. Oh, I don't pronounce the A in Guinea. My bad. So yeah. So here we go. This man telling his story in the 1500s. What he got to lie to us for? What does he have to fake this happening, right? It's a court document, right? This is what you call history. I don't know why people don't like history. So that was the 1500s. So we had a king talking about, hey, my people over there being stolen and being sold to the white man. Then we got testaments of people being snatched up and then sold in America. So this is 1693 affidavit, right? This is from March 22nd, 1693. It's from Warwick County, now Newport News, Virginia. It was submitted to the governor, Sir Edmund Andros, by Dudley Diggs, Richard Whitaker, Carter Hubbard, William Carey, and William Rosser. See, when we show you documents, they got names, places, dates. We don't just give you a generalized story. The document informs the governor that Frank, a man of African descent, enslaved by Henry Gibbs, has been jailed on suspicion of planning a slave uprising. The riders also seek the governor's help in ferreting out the details of a rumor of an evil and desperate design contrived by the Negroes. Right? They always try to paint us as we're just passive. We just let them be enslaved. Nah, we fought the whole way. The whole way. Big up Virginia. But yeah, we fought the whole way. This is Phyllis Wheatley, right? She has everybody know Phyllis Wheatley. She was born 1753, died December 5th, 1784. Born in West Africa, most likely in present-day Gambia or Senegal. See, a lot of people forget that when we left those places, they really wasn't. It wasn't they didn't have the boundaries they have. They necessarily didn't have the names, right? Yeah, Bostonian. They didn't have the names. So, like they said, present day Gambia, Senegal. So she wrote a poem about on being brought from Africa to America. See, we have the history. All through history, we have it where we talked about this. We talked about all of it. Right? She says, "'Twas mercy brought me from the pagan land, taught me, benighted soul, to understand that there's a God and there's a Savior too. Once our redemption neither sought nor knew, some view our sable race with scornful eye. Their color is a diabolical dye. Remember, Christian Negroes, black as Cain, may be refined and join the angelic train." That's Phyllis Wheatley. on being brought from Africa to America. What year was that? Yeah, she died 1784. But for some reason, when we ask these other people, like Moors, these Indians, the Aboriginals, Hebrews, we ask them, can you show us people in history who says the things that you say? Right? Can we? And that alone starts an argument. They won't even answer that for us. What they do, they want to move the goalposts, ask us a million questions instead of just getting directly to it. Right? Paul Cuffey, everybody knows Paul Cuffey. January 17th, he was born 1759, died September 7th, 1817, in the state of Massachusetts. So what we're looking at is a petition for relief from taxation, March 14th, 1780. Petition for poor Negroes and mulattoes. So what this say? It says that we, being chiefly of African extract. I mean, we being chiefly of African extract, and by reason of long bondage and hard slavery, we have been deprived of enjoying the profits of our labor for the advantage of inheriting estates from our parents. Talking about generational wealth. Advantage of inheriting an estate from our parents, as our neighbors, the white people, do, having some of us not long enjoyed our own freedom. So yeah, we see people again continuing this history that we talk about today in 2024. Right? Paul Cuffey was a free man. He went from coming from a parent who was enslaved to being a big businessman. Would have been worth millions in today's money. He was able to bring some people back home to Africa. Right? So it's not a sad story. It's a story of triumph. Right? We made it. Nigga, we made it. So, like I said, we deal with the primaries. The history is here. This is it right here. Close up. We see March 14th, 1780. We see right here the petition of several poor Negroes and mulattoes who inhabitants of the town of Dartmouth, something, that we, being chiefly of African extract, and by reason of long bondage and hard slavery, we have been deprived of enjoying the profits of our labors, right? Or inheriting estates from our parents. We have the continuous history. Where's the Abo history? Where's the Moor history? Where's this Israelite history in America that they be talking about everybody is? We never see it. We never see it. Right? And this is their signatures on the back. People like to ask, well, did they sign it? Did they sign it? Yeah, they signed it. You see John Cuffey, Paul Cuffey's brother. We see Paul Cuffey here and some other people. Yeah, they signed it. All right, so we just go on a little timeline. Something that these other groups can't do, especially Aboriginals. They cannot give you a timeline. They can't give you people who talked about this. It's something they can't do. On April 12, 1787, Richard Allen and Absalom Jones founded the Free African Society in Philadelphia to be multi-denominational, mutual aid organization for free people so that they could gather strength and develop leaders in the community. Allen and Jones were both religious leaders and formerly enslaved men who had purchased their freedom before moving to Philadelphia, where they met and found common cause. Right? Absalom Jones was born 1746. Richard Allen, 1760, both in Delaware. And this is the preamble of the Free African Society. Like today, for most of the people in the chat, you're not going to see nothing new. But what we're doing is we're putting it together, right? Right. We talk about it, but they need to see it. And can they match it? I don't think they can. They don't have anybody outside of the 2000s, unless they go on to York or Dr. York, if that's who they want to use. But really talking this Aboriginal stuff. And one person with a group of, how many people he had is not enough. We could literally do this all day. So it says, whereas Absalom Jones and Richard Allen, two men of the African race, who, for their religious life and conversation, have obtained a good report among men, these persons from a love to the people of their complexion, whom they beheld with sorrow because of their irreligious and uncivilized state, often commune together upon this painful, important subject in order to form some kind of religious society, but there being too few to be found under the like concern. So he's saying, listen, we can't all agree on this religious society. And those who were different in the religious settlements, with the circumstances, they labored for some time till it was proposed, after a serious communication of sentiments, that a society should be formed without regard to religious tenets. So we're going to do it without religion, provided the person lived an orderly and sober life in order to support one another in sickness and for the benefit of their widows and fatherless children. Right? They're coming together. This is a mutual aid society. They're going to work together for the greater good. Sounds like Pan-Africanism to me. Right? We have more people talking about it. We have the famous Venture Smith, birth name, Rotier Furio. I don't know how to pronounce it. 1729, 1805. He was born in a place he calls Dunkadara in Guinea, a term that at the time referred to much of West Africa. Right? And he just says, I was born in Dunkadara in Guinea about the year 1729. My father's name was Sogun Furia, prince of the tribe of Dunkandara. Right? His book is titled Narrative of the Life and Adventures of Venture, a native of Africa, but resident about 60 years in the United States of America. I just want to know what other groups have a history like this. Our history is never forgotten. I don't know who even says that. Oh, we forgot it. No, we never forgot it. There's nothing to forget. It's literally written down every step of the way. By us, might I add. Or some sort of participation. We got Peter Williams Jr., born in Jersey. Right? He was an abolitionist who also supported free black immigration to Haiti, the Black Republic that had achieved independence in 1804 in the Caribbean. In the 1820s and 1830s, he strongly opposed the American Colonization Society, efforts to relocate free blacks to the colony of Liberia and West Africa. He wasn't with it, right? They had their reasons because they wasn't ready to be fooled. Like, nah, you trying to get rid of the free people so you can keep your hold on slavery stronger. In 1827, he was a co-founder of the Freeman's Journal, the first African American owned and operated newspaper in the United States. 1827. What? I thought you said slaves can't read. It was against the law. Who was reading it? Black people. Because we could read. Right? And this is what he wrote. It's an oration on the abolition of the slave trade delivered in the African church in the city of New York, January 1st, 1808, by Peter Williams Jr., a descendant of Africa. Where are the Aboriginal? Where are these black Indians at? Where their history at? Who are their ancestors? Who are they civil rights leaders? Who was their teachers? Who was their lawyers? Hmm? Anybody know? Anybody? Because everybody been asking the Abos for a long time. Yo, give us the history, man. Give us the history. They're gonna run to the Book of Atlantis, the land of Mu. Tell us some shit that don't exist, or take us 10,000 years ago to some mounds that they ain't got nothing to do with. Nothing to do with. Where is the history? I just want to know. So here's a couple things out of here. Page 11, it says, but to us, Africans and descendants of Africans, this period is deeply interesting. We have sensibly felt the sad effects of this abominable traffic. And he's talking about the slave trade, the abolishment of the slave trade in 1808. It has made, if not ourselves, our forefathers and kinsmen, its unhappy victim. There's a black man talking about him, his forefathers being unhappy victims of the slave trade. Not talking about white people. None of that. But we only get this because what? We fought to be free. Right? So we get this history. Right? We get this powerful speech because we never gave up. That's why we're here today. And pronounced on them and their posterity the sentence of perpetual slavery. Like I said, that's on page 11 in this book. Right? And he gives a little history of how it happened. Mutual agreements were then made. The Europeans were to supply Africans with those gaudy trifles, little like shiny things, little gifts, which so strongly affected them, and the Africans in return were to grant the Europeans their prisoners of war and convicts as slaves. On page 15 in this book. Again, where's their history? Jackie Brown, where's this Aboriginal history? Do you got some names for us? No, Jackie Brown, we could read. I don't know what you're talking about. Not proving anything other than what we've been telling you. All through history, you will find us talking about what happened. At the time, after the time, you will hear about it. Right? I started in the 1500s. Right now, we're in 1808. See, look, she's pushing this. Oh, slaves couldn't read bullshit. So what was Nat Turner doing when he was preaching from the Bible? He could read. Plenty of them could read. I don't know where you're getting this from. So what we talking about? The abolition of the slave trade, right? 1808. So this is an article from the Evening Post, July 21st, 1808, page 2. The African school celebrating the end of the slave trade. At the African school, they're celebrating the end of the slave trade. It says the people of color are requested to attend a general meeting at the African schoolroom on Friday evening, June 22nd at 7 o'clock, in order to make arrangements for celebrating the abolition of the slave trade. It's July 18th. Paper came out the 21st. They wrote this on the 18th. Like I said, you're going to see us talking about this stuff. I don't know what Jackie Brown's talking about. I want to see who's y'all Aboriginal leaders. Who? We don't see it. Ogun, peace. King of Kapala, peace. Does anybody know Like, it's like, where's Waldo? Where's the Abo history? Talking about we can't read. Just crazy. Again, the Free African School celebrating the abolition of the slave trade, 1808. Right? So this is a poem. It's called The Sorrows of Yahweh, or the Negro Woman's Lamentation. Right? This is in 1819. It says the Sorrows of Yahweh. In St. Lucia, distant isles, still with Africa's love I burn. Parted many a thousands of miles, never, never to return. So we're writing poems about this. Women, men, like she said, still with Africa's love I burn, parted many a thousand miles, never, never to return. Come con death and give me rest. Yamba has no friend but thee. Thou can't ease my throbbing breast. Thou can't set the prisoner free. Down my cheeks the tears are dripping. Broken is my heart with grief. Mangled my poor flesh with 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 whipping come con death and bring relief. Born on Africa's golden coast, once I was blessed. Once I was as blessed as you. Parents tender, I could boast. Husband dear and children too. But she's saying, listen, I had all the things you had. Right? She's just reminiscing about being in Africa. Had a family. The whitey man. He came from far, sailing all the briny flood, who, with help of British tar, buys up human flesh and blood. With the baby at my breast, other two were sleeping by. In my hut I sat at rest, with no thought of danger nigh. From the bush, at eventide, rushed the fierce man stealing crew, seized the children by my side, seized the wretched Yamba too. This is in 1819. So you see us talking about these tragic things. And Jackie Brown, yes, you can go back. I did a couple things on Nat Turner. I did my whole, I ain't gonna say the whole second round, but about 80% of the second round was based on Nat Turner, his trial, and I even brought up his descendants. He had descendants. Did you know that? So yeah, he was real. I don't even know how you can even dare to prove. I dare to even say some shit like, "Oh, can I prove Nat Turner?" What? Yes, yes, it's been proven. He has living, breathing descendants today. What type of silly question is that? I need everybody to share the video, like the video. All right, we're talking about Black history. Who do we say we are? As we can see so far, we're up in 1819. We started in 1500. We definitely, there's a theme here. We said we came from Africa. There's no ifs, ands, but about it. Here we have David Ruggles, born in Connecticut, March 15th, 1810. Died December 16th, 1849. And this is one of my favorite people, right? Is one of my favorite people. David Ruggles was an African American abolitionist, writer, publisher, and a courageous voice of Black freedom. We need a David Ruggles movie. That's what we need. He assisted hundreds escaping slavery and mentored future abolitionists such as Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, and William Cooper Neal. We definitely need a David Ruggles movie. Oh, the last one with the black people owned white slaves in America. That second round, I went into the Nat Turner revolt, the court case, the list of all the white people killed, the trials where they talk about how they're on trial for killing white people, because the claim was that, like Jackie Brown's going with, you can't even prove if he's real. And what A1 was trying to say was, well, if he is real, he was hired to kill black slave owners. Right. So I just dismantled that in the second round of my last debate I had. Yeah. By the early 1830s, Ruggles became involved in the growing anti-slavery movement in New York, advocating for practical abolitionism, arguing that abolitionists should not just philosophize about the day slavery would end, but strive to help all victims of human bondage. He also advocated the use of civil disobedience and self-defense. He was with them hands. No ifs, ands, but about it. He was with those hands. We need a movie about him. I'm telling you, the beginning scene should be him and like 10 other black men walking up on a boat, just checking them white boys. Like, you sure you ain't got nothing you supposed to have on this boat? Right? Remember, he used to run up on the ships, making sure there wasn't no slaves in it in New York. That would be crazy. So David Ruggles, right? In 1828, opened a grocery shop. Ruggles' grocery shop at 1 Cortlandt Street was also a circulating library and reading room for African Americans who were denied access to New York's public libraries. His was the nation's first black-owned bookstore. David Ruggles owned the first black-owned bookstore. And there, Ruggles sold anti-slavery publications until it was destroyed by a mob. Between 1838 and 1841, he wrote, printed, and published the first journal edited by an African American. That was called the Mirror of Liberty. David Ruggles was a visible conductor of the Underground Railroad and helped at least 600 enslaved people to freedom, including Frederick Douglass. Ruggles was also a founder of the New York Committee of Vigilance, which fought against the practice of kidnapping free blacks in New York, as well as fugitive African Americans and legally selling them into slavery in the South. Ruggles would openly confront kidnappers, slave catchers, and the Vigilance Committee offered their victims legal assistance. This is the NAACP before there was the NAACP. They was with them hands. Ruggles himself experienced at least one such attempt kidnapping. They tried to kidnap him and sell him into slavery. Right. So where's the abos that was fighting? Oh yeah, I forgot. Nothing never happened to them. Nothing happened to no other group. Look, now Harriet Tubman ain't real. Rosa Parks story is fake. Yo, do this in March. Don't do this in February. Let's not do this month. Right? Harriet Tubman. What? David Ruggles helps escape slave, and he's put on trial. He gets arrested for this. The slave case. From New York Express of yesterday, Mr. Barney, of course, the individual charged with receiving the money stolen from Mr. J.P. Dog by his slave Tom Hughes, and of aiding in the escape of the felon, was yesterday brought for examination and declined answering any questions. Listen, I plead the fifth. He was required to give bail in the sum of $5,000 for his appearance for trial. We ain't saying nothing. A colored man named David Ruggles was yesterday arrested on a charge of aiding in the escape of concealment of the Negro Tom. So he's also charged with the Negro Tom. The examination of Ruggles began about 2:00 in the afternoon and was not brought to a close till about 9 in the evening. They was interrogating this man for 7 hours. David Ruggles on examination stated that his age was 29. He resided at 36 Lispinard Street, born in Lyme, Connecticut, is the editor of the Mirror of Liberty, and declines answering any questions relative to the slave Tom or his acknowledgement of his concealment. Listen, I plead the fifth. I don't know no Tom. I don't know where he's at. For 7 hours. We ain't giving you nothing. Oh yeah, this is crazy. She gives no evidence. She just makes the claim. But Jackie Brown, you're really a religious one. You believe in all this other stuff that lines up right with the Bible, but you just say you don't believe in it. We don't believe you. Ruggles was required to find bail in 3,000 for his appearance for trial and complying with which he was liberated. So he paid his bail and got out. Right? So we could see this happening. Right? You got the free, you got the enslaved. You got the free blacks helping the enslaved blacks, whether they got to break crimes or not. Right? This is our history. I don't know what them Abos be talking about. I don't know what the Moors be talking about. Them Indians, I don't know what they talking about. They want to try to act like these things wasn't happening. It's documented. We have it. No, Jackie, you're boring. Henry Highland Garnett, you should learn something. Get your pen and paper out. Right? He was born in Maryland. Look, this is the black Americans y'all talking about. Where's y'all abos at? You couldn't make a list of abos. If you tried. You couldn't. She ain't gonna hit the link. It's coming soon. The link will be out there in about 10 minutes. I got a couple more slides, maybe less than that. She ain't gonna hit the link. Who's Henry Highland Garnett? Born 1815, died 1882. Maryland. Was an African American abolitionist, minister, educator, and orator, having escaped as a child from slavery in Maryland with his family. We have a survivor of the Maafa. On Sunday, February 12, 1865, he delivered a sermon in the U.S. House of Representatives. The first colored man who has on any occasion spoken in our national capital on the occasion of the Congress passage on January 31st of the 13th Amendment, ending slavery. So he's the first colored man to speak at the House of Representatives, 1865. Where's the Aboriginal? Right? And this is his speech. They turned into a book. Right? It's called Garnett's Memorial Discourse. Introduction by James McCune Smith. Right? So we linked in. We got the first doctor. His ancestors did not come over in the Mayflower, nor the land at Plymouth Rock, nor kiss the Blarney Stone of the Pilgrim's father. On the contrary, his grandfather was stolen by slave traders from the coast of Africa, survived the horrors of the Middle Passage on a ship, doubtless owned in Bristol or Boston, landed on the James River, and was thence transferred to the state of Colonel William Spencer at Newmarket, doomed to perpetual slavery, himself and his heirs forever. Page 17 from the introduction made by Dr. James McCune Smith. So this is James McCune Smith giving the introduction about Henry Highland Garnett, saying his grandparents was from Africa. This isn't new. This Abo stuff is new. This is why you can't get nothing out of them. Any conversation you have with an Abo, you're gonna argue. Smith was the first African American to receive a medical degree, then opened the first black pharmacy. That's Dr. James McCune Smith. You got history everywhere. Where's the Abo pharmacy? Jackie Brown, tell us, who was the first Aboriginal doctor? Or give us any Aboriginal doctor. Please. Anyone. So it says, go to the shores of the land of my forefathers. This is Henry Highland Garnett talking. Go to the shores of the land of my forefathers, poor bleeding Africa, which, although she has been ravaged or reaved and robbed for centuries, is nevertheless beloved by all her worthy descendants wherever dispersed. Even back then, he knows the history, but what he said, he still loves Africa. Always gonna love it. This is 1865. Here you go, Jackie. Harriet Tubman's parents, pure African blood. It's from the Richmond Weekly, Palladium, March 23rd, 1869, page 1. Jackie Brown could never cite her source. What does it say? So this actually comes from an article where they're talking about a book that was written about Harriet Tubman in 1869. So this is what they said. Miss Harriet Tubman was born the year 1820 in Dorchester County on the eastern shores of Maryland, and not far from the town of Cambridge. Not a drop of white blood flows in her veins. Her parents are both pure-blooded Africans, and they still live at the advanced age of 98, as near as can be estimated from certain records. And though thus aged and living out beyond the toll gate on the South Street Road, Auburn, New York, they walk in every Sunday, more than a mile to the Central Church. So they're 98 years old, Africans walking to the church. After service, they go to a class meeting at the Methodist Church, then wait for the third service, and after that, start for home. So even church was long back then. It was all day long. Right? So we see that this is a continuous history. I don't care what an ABO tells you. Like I said, we started in 15, 16, 17, 1800s. It's a continuous history. It never changed. But we got people that get on the internet today and the whole story changed. Everything is different now. But the only bad thing is they have no sources. They literally just making this shit up. Right? This is from the Howard Orphan Asylum, Entertainment by the Children. This is the article from the Brooklyn Daily Eagle, June 3rd, 1878, page 2. Right? If our mothers and our fathers are Africans, we must be African. Right? So this is a famous orphanage that was in New York City. The little inmates of Howard Colored Orphan Asylum have an exhibition of their singing yesterday afternoon in the AME Church on Bridge Street near Myrtle Avenue. That's Brooklyn. The attendance was good. The orphans occupied reserved seats near the pulpit. They opened the exercises with the song entitled Marching On. The Reverend John F. Thomas, pastor of the church, offered prayer. Another song was sung by the school, and Mr. Thomas made some interesting remarks. I can read in the face of these children, said he, a degree of intelligence that recollects honor on the institution they represent. It is the pride of every civilized country in the world to do something for its poor and forsaken. Besides our religious teachings and our benevolence, there is a love of nationality existing within the breast of every human being. There is a story told of a boy who said he did not know what nationality he was, but he said his mother was Irish and his father was Irish. So he must have been Irish too. So with us, our mothers were African and our fathers were African. We must be African, but we are American African. The American nation is composed of a variety of nationalities, and I suppose that is the reason it is so strong. We feel proud to be identified with the American people, the people of the United States of America, the noblest type of humanity now existing on the globe. There has been a good deal said recently about. Like I said, if our mothers are Africans and our fathers are Africans, we must be African. Jackie Brown, relax. Come up with some history. Right? And this is a little something for the Indians, right? King Blue. This is another one of my favorite people, right? He was out there terrorizing them Indians, but they wasn't giving him and his people. They just do, right? King Blue. It says the former slaves formed political organizations and appointed people to represent their concerns before Congress in Washington D.C. And one of those individuals was King Blue, who was enslaved by Benjamin Colbert, a member of a large slaveholding Colbert family of Chickasaws. So on the right over here, you can see his freedman rolls. We've seen examples of freedman rolls plenty of time. We've seen Smoke Hawkins freedman rolls. On these freedman rolls, it'll tell you the person and who they was enslaved by. This one, it tells him that he was enslaved by Benjamin Colbert. He's 43 at the time. Right, this is 1898 Freeman card number 135. So you can look this up. So we have a clipping down here. Indian Journal, January 11th, 1883, page 1. It says a delegation of 3 colored men and 1 Indian have gone to Washington from the Chickasaw Nation to have freedmen questions settled. They want to be admitted as citizens and to enjoy all rights and privileges and annuities as such. So this is what he wrote in 1882. Right, it's called the Eloquent Protest of the Chickasaw Freedmen. Right, the Eloquent Protest of the Chickasaw Freedmen, written in 1882. This piece is one of the most eloquent documents written by freedmen leaders King Blue and Isaac Alexander. They made an appeal in the form of a document called the Memorial of the Chickasaw Freedmen. In this document, their plight and their plea for assistance from the United States is felt by the reader. It is pronounced on this page in its entirety. This is it in its entirety. The undersigned, so this is a quote from it. The undersigned your memorials respectfully show that they are residents of the Chickasaw Nation and area, persons of African descent, and were born and bred in the said nation. Your memorials represent not only themselves, so they like to say, well, he can't speak for everybody. He can't speak for everybody. Well, he is, because he said your memorials represent not only themselves, but also that class of persons known in the nation as persons of African descent, of which class there are about 3,000 individuals. 3,000 individuals. Again, this is from the Memorial of the Chickasaw Freedmen, written in 1882. These men went to, like I just showed you, they went to D.C. to talk to the people about getting their rights. They had to go to the United States government. Right down here, you can go. It's called the Indian Journal, January 11th, 1883, page 1. Go get the newspaper, right? And you can see what they wrote them, right? It's called the Memorial of Chickasaw Freedmen, written in 1882. All you got to do is put that into your little Googles, and that's going to pop up. They wrote it to the Senate and the House of Representatives, right? We have this documented history. Even the Indians, even the ones y'all call Indians, even the ones that are in these so-called nations, they still talking about they African. Yeah, we belong to Indian nations, but we are African. We're people of African descent. It's never changed. Not once. Not once over time has it changed. Not once. I need y'all to tell me if y'all hear echo when this shit play, because for some reason, whenever I put a video on my presentation, sometimes it be echoing. So let me know if it.
The reason why I wanted to make this video was because I remember this story that my mom used to tell us. So apparently in my
Was there an echo? Somebody tell me if there's an echo. Let me know real quick. Somebody. Was there an echo? Turn it up. Don't go no louder. That's the loudest it goes. What? Did you hear echo? No echo, just slow. Okay. We have to deal with that. So all history meets science. African woman DNA does a DNA test to reconnect with African Americans.
The reason why I wanted to make this video was because I remember this story that my mom used to tell us. So apparently in my family, there's like a great, I don't know how many greats, how many generations, but a great, like an ancestor. Well, not an ancestor, but a brother of an ancestor. So it's a great uncle who just disappeared one day, just vanished from the village and was never seen again. And so everybody in the family kind of agreed. I mean, that's the story we've heard. That's the story we hear today, that he was probably taken to be kidnapped, stolen, to become a slave in the Americas, and so we never heard from him again. But thanks to technology today, it's just amazing. So after, when you get your test results, you get to see who and how many people you're related to, in this country, in the United States. And I was very surprised to see that there's over 700 people I'm related to. Here are my DNA results. So 99% from Cameroon, Congo, Southern Bantu peoples. This is probably, the Funk tribe, because we're from, Gabon, Cameroon, Congo, the small Congo, Brazzaville. And this tiny country here is Equatorial Guinea. So here it is. Now let's go check out my matches. All right, so I'm gonna hide the names. And there you go. I have like hundreds and hundreds of people. It's crazy. It's crazy. So most of them are African American. Some of them are Latinos, and a few are even Asian and white. And I was very surprised. And when you look at their DNA profiles, you see that they have some African ancestry. I guess they just look white or Latino. I mean, because it's probably the majority of their genes, but they do have some African genes. It's just wow. So we see a lot of people. I'm surprised. I'm like, wow. So this person, if indeed it's him, if this person was taken from my family, had a lot of descendants. And who knows, maybe there was more than one person who was taken. I don't know. Anyway, this is the one story that I know. So I thought I'd share it with you. So here goes.
You heard of this, the story. She knows this story. She had the oral history, and then it lines right up with the DNA test. Right? I wish this thing would move. Okay. So if you want to look for that video, it's called Finding Distant African American Relatives, African DNA Test. And the channel name is Tell Me Alice. The channel name is Tell Me Alice. The video is named Finding Distant African American Relatives, African DNA Test. Her channel is Tell Me Alice. You can see the whole video. The whole video is probably about 7-8 minutes long. So it's not that long. Right? Again, we started off with King Alfonso from Congo and Zinga. What was his name? Nzinga Mbumba, or something like that. Sorry if I'm messing his name. But we start off with him in 1526, writing letters to the Portuguese talking about, hey, yo, you're taking my people. That wasn't part of the deal. You're supposed to basically, as we learned, other people would basically give up their prisoners of war or their convicts to these Europeans, right? So this is an apology for Ghana to Africans in the diaspora.
I wish at this point to particularly to apologize deeply on behalf of the chiefs and people of Gold Coast and Ghana for the atrocities, the cruelty, the inhuman treatment that were committed 400 years ago by my ancestors during the Atlantic slave trade, where over 400 years ago, millions of our brothers and sisters were captured, sold, and transported under inhumane and cruel circumstances through Elmina Castle across to the Caribbeans and to the New World. On behalf of the chiefs and people of Ghana, I do render unqualified apology, deep from the bottom of our hearts, deep from our bottom of our hearts.
Again, we hear from all these people that say, yo, these Africans don't talk about this. Well, the ones we're from, they do. Y'all too busy talking on the East African and trying to say like they're supposed to know something about us. No, they're technically not. Why should they? They should know about their history. But you talk to them West Africans, they're gonna tell you what's up. They know who we are. They know exactly who we are. So, where's that comment? What the hell is that comment? Oh yeah, niggas don't know one African. Niggas is crazy, right? So this is a DNA. This is for my DNA test on ancestry, right? This is one of my cousins from Africa. I found about 6, 7, maybe 8, something like that. But this is one. I was gonna put them all in here, but I just didn't feel like it. But my Nigerian cousin, right? You can look up this last name. You'll see it's from Nigeria. He's 100% Nigerian. Right? This is a conversation we had on the Ancestry Message app, right? What he say? He says, hello, I said, hello, I just wanted to reach out and introduce myself. My name is, family calls me, I'm from New York, I'm 38. This was 2 years ago. Anyway, I just wanted to start a conversation. Hope to hear from you soon. He writes back, hi, I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, in Igbo by tribe. Nice to meet you. I was wondering, have you matched to other people in America? You know, it's a big deal for us when we can find a cousin from the continent of Africa. He says, yes, I have 149 matches here. So he has 149 other American cousins. Right? So it's not just me. This isn't a one-off. And those are just the ones that took the test, right? So, like I said, that was Ancestry. This is on 23andMe. Right? 23andMe connected me to the Igbo tribe. I just showed you. I have a cousin who said what? An Igbo by tribe. He's from the eastern part of Nigeria, an Igbo by tribe. So, well, what did this DNA test tell me? Told me I was 25.9% Nigerian, 26%. He said Igbo people, highly likely match. So if you look up highly likely in a scientific content context, it's going to give you 90 to 100% accurate. That's what they're saying. Their confidence is 90 to 100% that it's a match with the Igbo people. Right? It says you are connected through shared ancestry to people from the southern Nigeria, many whom identify as Igbo. This means some of your ancestors may have lived in this area and may have relatives who still live here today. Right? Still live here today. What did Ojero tell me? He told me he's from the eastern part of Nigeria and the Igbo by tribe. This is 2 different DNA tests, y'all. So this isn't the ancestry trying to gas me up and sell me a lie, right? That's not what's happening here. This is the science working. Like we seen with the young lady who talked about how she found American cousins, and she's from the continent of Africa. Right? I'm telling you, I could have made 1,000 slides on just all this stuff. I don't want to take up too much of your time. This should be the end. Yep, we have to end. So, to the American Aboriginal community, where is the Aboriginal Americans in history? All we see is Africans and their descendants who became the Black Americans / African Americans. That's all we see. All right. My bad. We here. Oh, why did I do that? All right, my bad, y'all. Thanks for bearing with me. Now you can see it looks way different. Approximately 1 slave ship in 10 experienced some form of African resistance, and the rate was much higher. Vessels embarking captives in Senegambia, which had the highest incident of shipboard rebellions of any African region. In the United States, the myth of the contented slave was essential to the preservation of the South's peculiar institution, and the historical record of rebellion was frequently clouded by exaggeration, censorship, and distortion. Estimates of the total number of slave revolts vary according to the definition of an insurrection. For the 2 centuries preceding the American Civil War, one historian found documentary evidence of more than 250 uprisings or attempted uprisings involving 10 or more slaves whose aim was personal freedom. So we got this manuscript number 7. This is from firstblack.org, the timeline. Right, date 1503, March 29th, Zaragoza, Spain. Right, theme: enslaved blacks began to resist slavery, particularly since they arrived in Hispaniola by running away. So here's a quote from here. It says, "As to the enslaved blacks that you say should not be sent there, because that where there have escaped. In this we will order that it is done as you say." Those are 1503. He's like, yo, y'all keep sending these black slaves here. All they doing is running away. This is in 1503. So he's like, don't even send them now. This is from the same site, manuscript.org. What happened here? Let me fix this. There we go. All right. 1528, April 6th, Madrid, La Española. Theme: while they fleeing, while enslaved blacks away from the mines and farms of Española generated great concern to the Spanish crown. In the colony, an incriminous dispute erupted between the colonial governor Diego Colon and the oidores of the audience of Santo Domingo about the need for a constable to prosecute the blacks. Right? They're trying to decide, yo, what are we going to do with the ones that keep running away? It has been reported to me that in that island and in the others, there are some blacks that are runaways and of wicked life and wilds, that are not domestic, nor do they work as they are obliged. And they induce and call the other blacks that are peaceful and working to leave and rebel. So they're inciting others to join them in. Peace, everybody to the chat. Peace, everybody in the chat. Like the video, share the video, please. And so it says the blacks that are peaceful and working to leave and rebel and do other crimes and ills, from which it results that the said blacks that are in the mines and other farms and businesses rebel and commit other crimes. It's in 1528. Right? There was never a time when we was just chilling like they try to make it seem. That never happened. Right? Yeah, that never happened. Right? This is 1500s. We've been causing problems for them. That's why we end up freeing ourselves. This is 1545, manuscript number 34. Right? And as you can see, these are all primary sources. This is a history that a lot of people try to deny, but how can they deny when we got the sources? These other groups, they don't have any sources. They just got whatever they got, made up stories amongst themselves. So this is April 24th, 1545. It says in a letter, instructions from Prince Philip of Spain to a crown's envoy auditor and sent to Santo Domingo, the prince approved the selling of the city of 18 black slaves owned by the crown and the sending of a military squad to fight two groups of Maroons, Roman and Hispaniola. Both occurred the year before. Recommended the issuing of ordinances regulating the treatment of slaves by masters, and okayed a local discussion about freeing or deporting Ladino or Creole enslaved blacks due to their fixation with obtaining liberty and their inclination to incite non-Ladino slaves to rebel for it. 1545. There was never a time when we were just like, all right, we're just going to accept this situation that we're in. From the very jump, we fought. From the very beginning. This is 1545 also. The communication from Spain, this is manuscript number 35, firstblacks.org. Communication from Spain, Prince Philip's to Alonso Carrera, expressing concerns about uprising of maroon blacks. The attacks they have conducted against the village and rural areas of the center and north of the island, the fear this has generated among the Spanish settlers of those areas, and the need to exert great punishment and constraint on them so they remain obedient to their masters. In his message, the prince also referred to some communities of Indians reportedly still being enslaved in the island. A report has been presented to me that in that island there are many rebel blacks. That in that island there are many rebel blacks in so much quantity that the citizens of La Vega or Puerto de Plata or Santiago do not dare to go out of their houses to visit their farms unless in squads. There's so many runaway blacks that these people are scared to leave their houses unless they got a group of them with them. We wasn't playing. There's not a point in time when we was playing around with these people. There was not a point in time. Share the video, y'all. Where'd I leave off? Oh, okay. Their houses to visit their farms unless in squads, and that the miners get together to sleep in shifts of 8 with their spears in their hands for fear of the said blacks, and that in the Samana they have killed Indians of Pavera and taken away a lot of his people. Many of the said blacks they have killed and kill Christians every day. He was tearing them up. So, like we seen before, like I mentioned earlier, right? For them to keep this concept of slavery, one of the things they had to do was promote that we wasn't doing that. right? So a lot of the rebellions you'll see, or revolts, insurrections, you'll see that they'll put false stories out, like certain things didn't happen, like we didn't kill as many, or the things that we did, they didn't uh, really put out there, spread the news, and in fear of um, having the white scared, or inciting us to do the same thing in other areas. So this is John Barbeau in 1682. He was a historian, and he worked in the slave trade for the Senegal Company. So this is what I believe he's describing Pan Africanism here, right? Employed by the Senegal Company, which developed the triangular trade, and in particular the slave trade, he wrote 2 accounts of expeditions on the African coast. A first account in 1678 to 1679, which is preserved, and a second account corresponding to the years 1681 to 1682. So this is a quote from 1682. One thing is to be taken notice by seafaring men, that these Fida, they're from Wida, and the Aradra, they're from Benin, slaves are all the others the most apt to revolt aboard ships by conspiracy carried on amongst themselves. Especially such are brought down to Fida from very remote inland countries, who essentially draw others into their plot. For being used to see men's flesh eaten in their own country, and public markets held for that purpose, they are very full of the notion that we buy and transport them to the same purpose, and will therefore watch all opportunities to deliver themselves by assaulting a ship's crew and murdering them all, if possible. Whereof we have almost every year some instance in one European ship or other that is filled with slaves. They said, listen, we was afraid that the white people was going to eat us. So we was turning up on it. We didn't need too much motivation, right? So this is 1712, New York slave revolt. You know, I'm from New York, so I like this. Right, on April 7, 1712, a coalition of enslaved black people in New York City set fire to a building in the city center and launched a revolt. Armed with hatchet, knives, and guns, they attacked white people who came to fight the fire, killing 9 and injuring 7. 1712. So you see, we're going down the timeline. We start in 1500s. We're touching every century. The letter from the governor, Robert Hunter, 1712, to the Lords of Trade in London. He says, I must now give your lordship an account of a bloody conspiracy of some of the slaves of this place to destroy as many of the inhabitants as they could. It was put into execution in the manner when they had resolved to revenge themselves for some hard uses they apprehended to have received from their masters. For I can find no other cause. So he's saying, we don't know why they really revolted, but I believe it's because of the treatment. It says, by this time, the noise of the fire spreading through the town, the people began to flock to it. Upon the approach of several, the slaves fired and killed them. The noise of the gun gave the alarm, and some escaping, their shot soon published that the cause of the fire, which was the reason that not above 9 Christians were killed and about 5 or 6 wounded. You can catch this at Documents Relative to Colonial History of the State of New York. So what they did was they started a fire and waited for everybody to come help and try to put out the fire. And when these people came, they started shooting at them. So this is a testimony from 1730. Right? They always talking about what's up with the ships, the ships, the ships. We got the ships. We even got letters about what happened on these ships. Right? This is the testimony of Captain George Scott, who lived to tell the tale of the enslaved Africans on his ship, the Little George. In 1730, they slipped out their irons and fought back locking Scott and his crew in the cabin while they sailed back to Africa, abandoned the ship, and escaped. Right? They took over the ship and went back home. In June 1730, Scott sailed from the Guinea coast with a cargo of 96 captured Africans. Many days into the voyage, several African men slipped out their irons and attacked the crew. Using weapons seized on the ship, the Africans killed 3 of the watchmen who were on deck. Scott and his crew tried to fight back, but were subdued and forced into the cabin, where they were imprisoned. For several days, the Africans controlled the ship and were able to sail it back to Sierra Leone River, an estuary off the Atlantic Ocean on the west coast. On the West African coast, the Africans made it to shore, abandoning the ship and leaving the crew, still barricaded in the captain alive, having survived for 9 days, eating only raw rice. They left them in it. They made it back home, and they left them in the ship, locked them in the ship to starve to death. Right? So we see a history of this. We was never just some docile slaves. It was people who was enslaved, and we fought our way out of it. The Pennsylvania Gazette, December 3rd, 1730. It's page 2. It is wrote from Jamaica, July 5th, that 100 white men being sent out against some runaway blacks were all destroyed by those Negroes. All of them. They sent out a crew of white people, and what happened? None of them came back. He wasn't playing about our freedom. I don't know why these abos, all these other groups, they think it's like some type of game. Like we was just, nah. We wasn't having it. That's why we talk about our history, because we're proud of it. We're proud of it. You heard, if you've seen a video earlier from Home Team History, they talk about the Haitian Revolution, right? We took over a whole island. Nobody's never done that. Never. In 1752, the English ship Marlborough left England for Bonny, Nigeria, and the Gold Coast of West Africa. 420 African captives were purchased, and the ship set out to sail to the Americas. Captain Robert Codd decided to use 28 of the slaves to help sail the ship. On October 4th, the ship was taken over by the captain. The African men and women fought and killed 33 of the 35 crewmen, keeping 2 alive to sail the ship back to West Africa. The ship's boys, Cooper, sailmaker, and the boat Swan were spared. The ship sailed to the Bonny first, and the Africans from that region went ashore. The remaining men and women set off for the Gold Coast, and upon reaching there, the ship and the remaining crew members were never seen again. This picture is a lithograph of the insurrection on board a slave ship by Carl Wadstrom, 1787. So it's to believe all 420 made it back, unless the ones that might have died in the fight or on the boat. But they made it home. Because, like I said, we freed ourselves. Long Island Negroes killed owners in the 1700s. You know, I gotta throw my area in there. Peace to the chat. Peace to everybody in the chat. Chris, Sean P. I see y'all. Pure Black TV. 608 Vibes. Brazilian Monk. Peace, peace. Sharonda, peace. Peace. Everybody in the chat. Keenan Wright. Peace. The Entourage Effect. Peace. Everybody in the chat. Yo, share the video for me, y'all. Going over a little Black history. We was never no punks. All right, we freed ourselves. So this article is from the Brooklyn Daily Eagle, November 17th, 1878, page 1. But they're going over some history, right? They say, we now proceed to give a few historical specimens of the treatment meted out by our ancestors to the Long Island Negro. In 1707, the house of William Hallett, Esquire of Newtown, was burned, and himself, his wife, and 5 children were murdered by an Indian man and Negro woman, their own slaves, who alleged ill treatment as their excuse, they being restrained from going abroad on the Sabbath days. So he wasn't letting them go out on the Sabbath like they supposed to, so they turn around and kill them. They were publicly burned at Jamaica and put, that's Jamaica, Queens, and put to sit the torment possible for a terror to others of ever attempting to like the wickedness, whatever that means. In 1772, Nathaniel Brewster of Brookhaven was whipping his slave, a native of Guinea, for some act of disobedience when he suddenly turned upon his master and struck him dead. He was tried, and the very next day by 3 judges of the peace, justice of the peace, and 5 freeholders, as the law directs, and was sentenced to be hanged. Though some of the judges proposed he should be burned and at least gibbeted. Now that's an old, they should think that's some old medieval tactics. Gibbeted. Like I said, man, we freed ourselves. There was never a time when we didn't fight. Like I keep saying, we went all through from starting in the 1500s to now we up in 1833. So I seen this this little clip, and I wanted to throw a little clip in there.
Edward Covey.
Break the lane, I'm trying to make a name, but my sick thoughts got me by my brain. I'm searching for my, how ironic how we hustle for the same, but get bracelets for trying to get a chain, and they want to take up.
Thank you for sharing this night. Thank you. God bless you. Good night.